Hi guys, thanks for tuning in today. Today here I have an engine case. It came from Joe at 2 Vintage. It's a Yamaha Raptor 660, I believe, and he had trouble with the transmission, so he tore it all apart and found out that this bearing here grenaded in the case. It just completely came apart. Found the bearings laying in the bottom of the case, and when that happened, the transmission shaft kind of banged around in here. You can see it wore on the bottom here and kind of made a little ridge around where the bearing should seat down on. So we're going to take a mill, go in there and just clean that surface up just so the bearing can sit down on the ledge. We'll Loctite it in with some retaining compound. It did spin on here, so we're definitely going to use the thicker, the Loctite 660, actually designed for taking up a gap on like a spun bearing or a spun shaft. So that should work good on this for this instance. It doesn't need to be in there super tight, it just needs to hold. So I think it'll be fine, and I don't think we're going to take any depth off of here. We'll measure it, blue it, leave a little bit of a witness mark so we don't go down too deep. Because otherwise, if we go down too deep, we'd have to start shimming the transmission shaft. So I don't think we want to do that. I think we can get away with it the way it is just by cleaning it up and pressing the new bearing in there. So we got this cleaned up in the parts washer. What I'm going to do is just hit it with some brake clean, just the areas here where we're going to work on. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of machinist dye and just go around this edge that we need to clean up. Now while that dries, we'll go put it in the mill. Alright, so we got it set up in the mill. I got it on the little tabs that are used to when you want to split the case. So I can't put a whole lot of pressure on these, but I have it in 3 spots. So, and we're not taking a big cut. This is just grazing it, so we should be good to go. So I'm gonna take some measurements on there, just so I can confirm that we didn't go down at all, and then we'll get a dial indicator in there to get the center. Okay, so we're gonna go in there and just graze the top of that. You're looking at the worst side of it. So we'll take a cut. I have it going pretty slow. So now we have this edge nice and smooth, and a little bit of a witness mark here, so we didn't take anything off the depth. All we did is take off the part that was marred up and pushed up from that loose transmission shaft. And this bottom here is just like a reservoir where the oil comes into, so that this doesn't need to be concentric on the bottom here. And I didn't want to take anything off the walls here because the bearing was spun. So we're going to rely on the Loctite 660 to hold that bearing in there. And which should be fine. I've used that before, and it's almost impossible to get a bearing off when you use that. It's very strong. So I'm pretty confident this will work. And it should be good to go, and we should retain the proper end play on that transmission shaft. Okay, so we have the case back from the parts washer, and I cleaned this out really good with brake clean, and now I'm just going to go through it with some acetone just to make sure that's good and clean in there. Then here's the bearing. This bearing came in a kit and it's sealed. It has a rubber seal on it. Bearings can come basically 3 different ways. I'm sure there's others, but either sealed with the rubber, or it can be metal, and that's called shielded, or just open. And this one's going to be open, just like this one here, because it's inside the case. So it doesn't need any type of shielding. And there's an oil port here that comes in, so you want that oil to flow through the bearing. So these seals have to come out. So the seals we can take out with just a small flat screwdriver. Just want to kind of get in there and pick it up. And they'll pop out just like that. We'll do both sides. And then there's some grease in there that we're gonna clean out and go clean out in the parts washer. You don't want any grease in the case. Okay, so I have the bearing back from the parts washer. I got it really clean. And I'm just taking a little acetone again and cleaning that surface off. That's going to get the Loctite. And again in here. This is the compound we're going to be using. It's a Loctite 660. It's designed to take up gaps on a spun bearing or a spun shaft. It says it can take up to a 0.5 millimeter of gap, so This isn't anywhere near that. This basically went from a light press fit to a slip fit. It slips down in there, and there's a little bit of resistance at the bottom, and then it goes down. So it should be fine. There's a little oil port in here that I'm going to take and put some tape over, and we'll bring it up through the middle of the bearing so we can push it down and then pull the tape out, just so no compound gets in that oil galley there. Even if it does, this is an anaerobic cure, so it needs lack of oxygen in order to cure. But we are going to use a primer, which is this here. It's a Loctite primer. We're going to spray it on there. It's also an activator. It's called primer and activator. That'll help, with the curing, and it also will serve as a primer. We're going to use everything to our advantage in this, but it should work. I don't see a problem. I'm pretty confident with it. Like I say, I've used this compound before. It locks the bearings in where you can hardly get them out when you want to get them out. You have to apply heat. And this is oil resistant and heat resistant. I have the technical data sheets on it, and it all specs out where this shouldn't be a problem at all. So now we will put a little bit of tape on over that oil galley. Just going to put it in there like that, and then we'll put the bearing through here and then pull it out when we're done. So I'm going to spray on a little primer. Just kind of spread it around with a Q-tip. Took the tape off. And then we'll prime the outside of the bearing. Now we'll apply the compound. We'll just use another Q-tip to spread that out. Then we'll put compound on the bearing itself. So whenever installing bearings, always install them with the part numbers out if you can, unless it's specified differently. We're just going to tap that in a little. And then we'll pull the tape out that was covering the oil port. Wipe off any excess. And there you have it, fully seated. So here's the final repair. Bearing's all good to go. It worked really good. I'm pretty confident with it. It's locked in there already. The technical data sheet says 72 hours for a full cure with the steel to aluminum. So it should be good to go. That'll give Joe time. He's got to replace these other bearings. We have a full kit for it. So, and then he's got to put the whole thing back together. So next step is we got to take this over and get it back to him. So it's the next day and we're on our way to see Joe at 2 Vintage. We're going to drop off the Yamaha 660 case we worked on for him. It's a nice day out, sunny, warmed up. It's about 23 degrees out, and that's Fahrenheit. So we got a good day for a road trip. So we'll deliver the case and see what he thinks of it. Say hi to Vinny. See you in a little bit. We're here with Joe from 2 Vintage, dropping off the case we worked on.
Let's check it out. Alright, come on in.
Get Vinny's approval on it.
Hey Vinny, sniff test? Oh yeah. What do you think?
He's looking at it.
Looks pretty good. Yeah, check that out. Wow.
So yeah, we got it all good to go for you.
That looks great.
For your rebuild.
That looks awesome. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And this is off of the machine over here. This is a 2001 Yamaha Raptor 660. And I was having trouble shifting it and then finally tore it down. And Jim explains it all in his video. But yeah, that's the beater quad it's off of.
So that's a 2001?
Yep, 2001, 660cc. So we'll get that one fixed up and thanks to Jim,
Yeah.
should be good to go.
Okay, so we're on our way back now. I'd like to thank Joe for helping me to get my channel up and running. What I'll do is I'll put a link to his channel in the description, along with, when it's available, the video where he puts that engine back together, and I'm sure takes it for the first ride. So we're gonna have a lot of collaborations, I'm sure, in the future. So please subscribe, give me a like, hit the notification button to keep updated, and we'll see you next time.